Haidong. In this video, we're going to talk about footwork. As with any combat style, you need to make sure your footwork is looking pretty good, right? So our first drill is just going to be using what I'm going to call the walking stance. So if you want the fancy Korean, Church, but because this is going to be independent of Gumdo, I'm just going to go with walking stance. So the way that I do my walking stance might be different from the way you do walking stance, but let's just talk about how I do it. So the super boring aspect is simply to have your foot over the width of your foot and forward the height of your foot. That's really boring. That's not really that informative. So again, just from the side, right? So 1 foot over, 1 foot up, and gently on the balls of your feet. Actually noticing my front foot's actually a little more planted, although my back foot is going to be a little bit on the light side. So you will see, probably when you're actually not thinking about it, I tend to have a much wider stance when I'm fighting, mostly because I like to push into other types of stances. So the main thing I want you to do is, when in doubt, be a little bit wider, right? So this is going to be potentially a little bit different from open hand, where you're not throwing a several pound piece of steel into someone. So I want to make sure you have a wider stance so you're a little more comfortable with that. One thing I want to say while you're in the stance is be very aware of if you're doing this guy, right? Now, this obviously looks weird because I'm kind of bending my back, but someone who's not as cognizant of this might do something sort of like this. Now, is that wrong? No, right? The reason why you might do this instead of here is this is very easy to pivot. Now that said, you can also pivot here, right? So the reason I do highly recommend that you have the heel almost to the ground is because that means you're activating your glute. So I want to make sure both of your glutes are kind of lightly activated and you're kind of nice and stable here, again, facing here. Again, one thing that you might notice is my solar plexus is facing my target. So it's not going to be back, it's going to be more or less facing exactly where I want to go. I can go more into that, there's obviously going to be other videos on the channel, but the main reason, just so you know if this is your first video, is symmetry, right? If I do this, my right hand is doing something very different from my left, things get weird. Here, my brain doesn't have to adjust too much, and everything's pretty symmetrical. So the very first combination, I'm not even going to call from the title, is going to be just going in for cardinal directions, right? So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to be in this guard. You don't need to be in this guard. This just happens to be a Gumdo guard. If you want to be in open hand, if you want to be just here, whatever you're comfortable with, right? Because this is not important because we're not fighting in this. So in your happy little walking guard, right? So facing forward, we're going to go in 4 directions. So from here forward, back, left, and right. Right? So if we're doing it from the side, again, forward, back, left, and right. Not really super engaging just yet. So like with all of these drills, there's going to be many different layers to it. First layer is always going to be just to mimic. Like, okay, he's doing this, he's doing that, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Noticing that I don't cross my feet, we will occasionally do that, but from here it's just push, 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 and push. Next layer down I would like you to think about is the muscle activation, right? So as I'm pushing myself forward, so I'm going to have my right leg forward for now, I'm going to push off my left glute, use that to propel myself forward. I'm going to use my right glute to push myself back. I'm going to activate the inside of my right thigh to push open, inside my left thigh, bring back. So just in case, again, this is new, I want to use the bigger muscle groups because that's going to mean I'm going to tire less quickly. Yeah, I use that. I use that right. It's going to be also just more stable. You're going to be able to fight for longer, as in longer time, as in like down the road. As opposed to if you do this guy, you're going to be more likely to wear out the smaller muscle groups, especially in the calf. So versus if you, again, engage the glutes, you're going to be able to use those for much, much longer. The main combination I actually did want to do is what I'm going to call the Asterix. That might not sound like anything right now, but it's going to make sense if you kind of look from above. So I'll verbally say it, I'll show you something on the board, kind of give you an idea what I mean, but let's take a look. It's going to be the same thing, just expanded, right? So for here, so before, front, back, left, right. Cool, okay. From here, forward, back, back, forward, left, right, right, left. Okay, I just made a bigger plus sign, cool. Now we're gonna go on angles. So keep a note on my footwork. This is a footwork drill, right? But from here, top left, step, step. Noticing my feet don't cross. Going to the back right, 1, 2, 1, 2, and back forward to the top left. Notice I'm now in the original spot, top right, back left, top right. So notice I'm going to end up in the same exact spot. Now if you kind of draw those directions as I was doing it, it's going to make an asterisk. I'll again show on the board. So you might be wondering why? Why are you doing this? So first of all, being able to do doubles and also being able to shift a little more quickly is going to be important. Also kind of gives you more of a rhythm just to get used to, and also gives you more directions. But one note I want you to have in your mind as you're going through this is make sure your solar plexus is face forward. It's very easy to kind of accidentally do this, or I'm kind of facing the corner if I'm going on that corner, versus if I'm here, pop, pop, right? I want to make sure my solar plexus is still facing forward even if I'm going on the angles. Make sense? From the side, so forward, back, back, forward, left, right, right, left, top left, back right, top left, top right, back left, top right. Forward, back, forward, left, right, left, top left, back right, top left, top right, back left, top right. All right. Very high tech here, but just so you can kind of see what I mean. So the normal, right? The normal one is just going to be front, back, left, right. Not very exciting. The asterisk version, front, back, front, left, right, left, top left, back right, top left, top right, back left, top right. Hence our very happy Asterix. Huzzah. Before I get carried away, I'll make sure I have full transparency of where I'm getting this from. This is from my Kendo days. So this is a Kendo footwork drill. Kendo or Haidong, it might be one of those two. I had the same structure for both. So thank you, Isabella Church, for those wonderful drills. So just so you know where it came from, I didn't just make that up because my brain is already crazy as it is. That is where it came from. So what do we do next? Speed it up, right? So a couple of different layers, right? So the first layer, just mimic the directions. Second layer, okay, activate the right muscle groups. So glute, 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 inside thigh, inside thigh, inside thigh, inside thigh. Glute, right? So you still want to activate that glute as you're pushing forward. It's not going to be just down the spine, it's going to be on the side, a little bit on the side, but I still want you to think about the muscle groups you're using. Third layer down, a little more speed, right? So if you're here, forward, back, forward, left, 1, 2, 3, pop. I'm not enough of an angle. Make sense? Footwork footwork is always one of those drills that always seems like the first to go, like if people are in a rush to kind of get from A to B. It's also one of the most important, right? So I know whoever has heard the spiel about footwork knows what I'm going to be saying. It's important. It's a fundamental piece. You can't really get better at fighting if you don't know what your feet are doing. So make sure you do invest the time in doing this. I highly recommend that you do maybe an abbreviated version of this, but some sort of version of this in your training, right? So whenever you're teaching class, receiving class, maybe don't do it without permission, but make sure it's part of a routine so it doesn't easily get forgotten. But with that, make sure you stay safe, stay humble, and keep training. Make sure you actually practice this, and we'll keep going in the next one. Haidong.